I'm a lesbian, and I drunkenly hooked up with my boss. I, 21 female, had never made love before and I've always liked girls, but I always wondered what straight lovemaking is like, and I said it once in our office in front of my boss, 31 male. I moved out of my parents' apartment to a bigger city and honestly, he became, it's gonna be weird, kind of a father figure to me. We discuss a lot of things in the office, and we became really close friends. He always helped me when I needed, even outside of work. I don't have a girlfriend and at first he always said things like someday, I'm going to transform you to a straight girl, because you deserve a normal life. I obviously didn't like that, but the last half of the year, he was very respectful to me and said really kind words to me about me being gay and that it's okay. So a few days ago we went on a 2-day training trip and we had only one hotel room, and of course it had only one bed, even though I specified I wanted a 2-bed, I was pretty okay with it, because I grew up with 2 brothers, and we shared a bed all the time. Well, after the training we bought some wine and we drank a lot in our room and well, I don't remember a lot, because I was wasted. I do remember though, that when we went to bed, he started touching me and asking me if I'm okay with it and I was like, I don't know, I don't care, no, or yes I want it and it happened. The thing is that I don't remember if it felt good or not, because I was really drunk. I feel exactly the same as before, I still don't like men, I want a girl. My boss is an okay looking guy, but I don't find him hot and I don't feel physical attraction to him, I just like the touch and that's it. I don't like when men touch me when I'm sober but I crave physical touch, so I think that's why I let it happen. I don't know if this makes me bisexual or not, but I still want a life with a girl and when a girl has touched me before, it was magical. This really wasn't, but maybe it's because it was my first time? I don't really know, I just need to vent this. Edit to add, I honestly don't think it was all his fault, he didn't get me drunk, I wanted to drink and yes, it was on my list of things I wanted to try, but not with my boss, I wanted to try it with my close friend or someone like that. I didn't make a big deal out of one bed because I fully trusted him that nothing like that would ever happen, and I honestly didn't ever think about making love with my boss. I talked to him about what happened and how I feel about it and he said, every man would take this as an achievement and that he expected it to happen, because he is a man. He also told me that if he knew I would feel this bad about it, he wouldn't try anything. He thought that it will benefit both of us, because I was really into it and had provoked him and we made out a lot. So I don't think it's all his fault, but I'm realizing that it's not okay for a man to touch an intoxicated woman even though she gave consent. He knew I had my V card still and I hate the idea that he expected this would happen. I'm having a really hard time right now and I'd like to say that I didn't make a big deal after it happened. I thought I was okay with it, so I acted like it was no big deal, but some of you are right. He's not a nice man right from the beginning and I can't believe I let myself believe that he changed. I hate the most that he is one and that he now has regrets only because I am not okay with it now. Before you say it was SA, in the end I told him it's okay and I really provoked him and I said, if you continue to touch me like that, I'll be turned on. He was also really drunk too. The next day he told me he doesn't think it's a bad thing it happened. Yes, it kinda bugs me that it's an achievement for him, but there's nothing I can do about it, because I said yes. Also, I was the one who booked the hotel. I also talked to him today and he said that he really thought I was into him and wanted to do it and that I acted like it. I don't remember much, it sucks. I shouldn't have let his words about him transforming me go so easily. Yes, I am naive and stupid to book only one room, no one cared about us booking only one room and I'm even more stupid for not calling the hotel service to at least separate the bed. All I can do is learn from my mistake and look for a different job. I still am pretty sure I am a lesbian and it kinda sucks, that I'm gonna hate men for a while. I'm a lesbian, and I drunkenly hooked up with my boss. Update 1 year later. I'd like to add that the morning after it happened I had a really bad hangover and covers of the bed were covered in my blood. I went out and cried, and called my sister-in-law who I was pretty close to. She told me that this stuff happens, 2 people get drunk and get intimate. So I just didn't think it was SA. I took a pill after the love making just to be safe even though he pulled out on time, he said. Well, you know how I said it wasn't SA, and how it's my fault it happened. Yes, I thought I provoked him but most of the memories from the night are just really painful, also it's one of the first things he told me. I was in a really bad mental state of mind and after it happened, I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep, I was pale, and people asked me if I was okay regularly. I was texting with my boss at the time after it happened and he acted like the piece of crap he is, gaslighting me in every text and telling me how every man would do the same thing he did. After I told him that I can't take it so I will quit my job and I got really angry, he's lost all the authority respect from me if I couldn't take it anymore, and I told him I'll say anything just for him to leave me alone. He told me that I'm acting in extreme measures. I kept telling myself, it's my own fault I got drunk. I really wanted to tell someone from the company. There was this girl, who works as a receptionist at the company and I hung out with her a few times before and I just felt like she was a good person, like I felt like she was the only one from the company who should know what happened. So I told her and ever since, she's been my support in life and one of my closest friends. She obviously didn't think what happened between me and my boss was okay and she was convinced it was SA. Unfortunately, where I live, is a crime only when it's violent, so all I could do was report my boss to the company management. I didn't want to tell, and leave. At that time I gave my HR a notice. Notice period lasts 2 months. I went to work a few times after the incident happened, but my colleagues noticed how sick I look, noticed that I no longer talk to my boss or go to lunch with him, and I didn't want to say anything. Well, the boss of my boss, let's call him Michael, asked for a meeting with me and to discuss why I suddenly want to leave. At first I didn't want to tell the management, but since he wants to know, I told myself I'll just tell him the truth. There was one girl in particular who also had talked to my boss. She and my boss had a history. Let's call her Brooke. Brooke and my boss texted a bit. She is also married to a lawyer, and she sent, a few months before this all happened, my boss pictures while exposed, and he showed me. I didn't think very much of her, but after my incident, she looked at me really weird, so I thought that he might have told her. I told her, when I saw her in the company kitchen, that if she wants to talk she should just tell me, not just look at me weird every time. After that, she contacted me and asked me to meet her after work. I agreed and told her the whole story. She said she didn't think he would ever do something like that and told me that she'll tell her husband to arrange a meeting with one of the lawyers from her husband's company. I was hesitant, because I didn't want to pay anything and I still didn't think of it as SA, but she was trying to convince for several days after I refused at first, and because Brooke told me she'll bring out the lawyer's wife card, even though it could ruin her marriage and I wouldn't have to pay a thing. Though eventually I agreed after a lot of convincing from Brooke. After this I had a meeting with Michael, HR employee and HR manager. I told them everything and Michael was furious and he immediately arranged a meeting with my boss and also Brooke. Of course he hated the fact that we didn't have 2 rooms and told me that I should stay at home for a week. When I had all of that free time, I went to meet the lawyer that Brooke arranged a meeting with, not Brooke's husband, but a woman, because I didn't want to talk to a man, and she told me that we should press charges and I should visit a therapist. The therapist told me that this was obviously SA and that I was in no state of mind to give consent. Also, the lawyer and the therapist both said that victims usually at first refuse to call it SA, and it takes a lot of time for them to actually realize what happened and how they feel about it. I was only once on a session, because it was really expensive and I couldn't afford more sessions since I had to leave my job in a month. I thought about it a lot and asked everyone close to me what they think about it, and they all said, except my sister-in-law, that I should follow my heart. My sister-in-law said that this crap happens and I shouldn't press charges, just reporting him at the company was enough. My mind was a complete mess. I told myself all the time that it wasn't SA, and I asked myself, would I say yes if I was sober or just a little bit tipsy? Well, the answer is no, and I never thought about doing it with my boss. So I agreed to press charges, told the police, and let me tell you, it was a nightmare. When I confessed about it in front of the police officer, I felt like I'll fall apart in a second. My friend, the receptionist, sat there with me and held my hand through it all. Then it all started. They interrogated literally every single person I talked about in the confession, and also people who the interrogated people talked about. I felt terrible, like I've put a burden on every single person around me. Lots of them were supportive and didn't mind, but I felt that they didn't like to be put through all this drama. A few obviously thought that it's my fault. I got drunk. The company called and told me I'll work in a different workplace for the rest of the notice period so I wouldn't see my boss around. Rumors spread around. Soon everyone knew what happened and they despised him for a while. Some people didn't really care. It quickly changed because lots of people from work had to go through interrogation at a police station and they were really annoyed by it. My boss tried to show people text messages where I wrote that I'll say anything just to get him in trouble. I also found out that his girlfriend that broke up with him that year was abused by him for 10 years and was interrogated as well. She basically said that she wasn't that surprised he would SA someone just to get the trophy. I screwed a gay girl. Funny thing is that this girl was a classmate of my lawyer in high school, so they know each other. My family except my brother and sister-in-law really supported me, and that was really surprising, because I didn't have that good of a relationship with them since my parents are unstable as hell. My sister-in-law basically cut off my brother and herself from our family because they support a lie. She was interrogated as well, and my lawyer told me she basically destroyed my chances to win. I was a mess for a few months, couldn't find a job, and then intense anxiety and panic attacks came. It was horrible. My roommate got fired, so I had to borrow money from my friends just to pay rent. So yeah, I lost the case. My boss got demoted. He's not a boss anymore. He chose a new employee that helps him do the same job I did. They also forbid him to choose a girl. I have a different roommate, a man from the company I worked in. And now he's my best friend. Never hit on me even though he's straight. I have a different job for 9 months now. I went to therapy a few times, got diagnosed with borderline personality disorder, and I'll move to a different city in a few months for a better paying job. My previous boss sometimes tries to convince my friends, from the previous company, to hear his side of the story, but my friends couldn't care less. My brother and his family won't talk to me, but I texted him that I miss him and wished him happy birthday. He doesn't respond. This year was a roller coaster, let me tell you. But I'm grateful, it helped me find great people and I had a wonderful rest of the year, honestly. I'm on antidepressants, but I've never been better. Sometimes though when I go out I fear I'll see him somewhere. Sometimes, though, when someone looks remotely like him, I get shivers and feel sick. But honestly, talking about my brother hurts the most. Even though this all happened, I feel like it's my fault my brother doesn't talk to my family anymore. I know it isn't, but when I see my mom cry because of him, it feels terrible. Thank you for all the responses in the previous post. I should have listened.